So who controls esports? Who runs esports? Who owns it? Really, really, really interesting question. So esports, compared to other sports like football, soccer, baseball, is very, very new. And at this time, there is no. First of all, let's talk about levels of governing bodies and tournaments and stuff. There are really three levels, three different industries in esports that I've talked about before in other videos. They are business and industry, which is really professional gaming, esports professional. There is collegiate, and then there is high school. So let's start out at the top. Let's start at business and industry. Is there a governing body? Who controls it? Who runs it? So this is a really interesting question. So first of all, there are several there are many people fighting to be the number one, to be the governing body. Same things happening in high school, same things happening in college. One of them's gonna, knock everybody out and win and be the one. Same thing happened with the NBA. Like, the NBA wasn't always the only basketball league, and every other sport, same kind of thing happened. So they're eventually gonna merge together or duke it out. One of them's gonna come out on top. So professionally, the main governing body is the International Esports Federation. They were like kind of like the first one. I don't want to say first one, but they're one of the big ones. That's a governing body. Then there are all kinds of different tournament structures, all kinds of different competitions. I'm not going to go through and name all of them because it would literally, I would be here for like 3 hours trying to name the 1,000 different tournaments or leagues that there are in esports. What I want to tell you is that there are numerous. And eventually, when we decide on a governing body, we're going to decide on tournaments and we're going to decide on leagues. And some of them are going to become much bigger than others. Let me just name a few for you. We've got Overwatch League. We've got, Fortnite World Cup. We've got League of Legends Championship Series. These are just a few. DreamHack. Just a few different ones that are out there. But there are many. So I would encourage you to go out. You can find the list. There are literally thousands of different leagues, competitions, tournaments out there in the professional gaming world. But these are some of the bigger ones that have significant backing, where there's significant amounts of money won, that the biggest teams are competing in. All right, so that's professional. So there's a kind of a main governing body, but there are others, and there are just thousands of tournaments out there. But the bigger ones sponsored by the publishers are really where it's at. It's not too much different in college. However, in college, we kind of have a governing body. There are a few people fighting for it, but really one has stood out, and it looks like they're pretty much going to be the governing body. And they are called NACE, the National Association of Collegiate Esports. And they're basically the governing body for esports. And what's different between college and professional esports is that the governing body in esports is pretty much setting the standard for varsity teams and also where the varsity tournament is run. So they're kind of housing everything. There are other organizations at the college level, and again, there's a bunch of them. I'll mention just a few of them because there are different, levels in the college level. Like there are the varsity team status, NACE, but there's also club level where, people compete in leagues like TESPA, and then there are, just leagues for anyone, like Collegiate Star League and University and League of Legends and other leagues like that college teams can play on. Then we get into the high school leagues. And in the high school leagues, we have a couple different governing bodies and tournaments really competing again for that space because it's really not there yet. We have the High School Esports League, we have the North American Scholastic Esports Federation, and now we have Play Versus stepping in there too. And they're in some other places as well, but really getting into that high school, middle school level tournament range. So as you can see, there's no official governing body for esports at this time. It's not like the, NFL football where we have the NFL. It's not like that yet. It will be eventually, but we're just not there. It's too new. This video is going to be so outdated in a couple years from now because eventually we are going to have that one entity that really starts to run things. But right now there just isn't. So it's I like to tell people that esports is the Wild West right now. We are really in the Wild West. It's going to be really fascinating to see what happens over the next several years as this expands, gets bigger, and more money gets put into it, and we start to see who emerges on top. Thanks all.